Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, USA Global TV and Radio, and welcome to Talking Heads. I am your presenter today, Mariska du Preez, and we are going to explore psychological safety. So for those of you that are new to the concept, it's really around ensuring that we can create an environment where people can feel safe in order for them to create, build, explore, be human. And this is very, very important, especially when we think about our workplaces and areas where we typically commune with others. So whether this is at home or at work or with our team or with our family, being able to create that space where people feel psychologically safe. So we don't feel like we need to run away, something's going to catch us, there's a big threat hovering over our heads. We don't have any of that stuff going on for us internally. And we are actually able to show up as our best selves. Now, psychological safety is not a new concept, and there has been quite a few books and research done to help us understand it a little bit more and understand the elements that we can bring into the space that would help to create psychological safety. And one of the people that's inspired me along my route to understanding psychological safety better is Amy Edmondson. So she's done quite a bit of research on this topic, and she's explored it in ways that made it easy for me to understand. It might make it easy for you to understand, getting her book and going and doing a bit of a read and understanding it a little bit more. So the way that it's broken down and the way that some of my other teachers has taught me around psychological safety is that we can almost put it into two different buckets. So the one bucket is really around the taking the risk. So us personally taking the risk to make the environment safe for others, and then also an inviting of and acknowledging of others taking a risk. And how does this look like? You might wonder. It's like, okay, so yeah, taking a risk. So do I need to jump off something high, or do I need to stand in a pit snake or something? No, you don't need to threaten your own life in this process. It might feel a little bit life-threatening, and that's part of where psychological safety comes in. It's really around our emotional safety within that space. Physically, it might not be threatening. It might not be something that scares us. And yet, when we think about a common threat that people face is public speaking. So for a lot of people, public speaking is it's something that we don't even want to think about. It's something that when we think about it, our heart starts beating a lot faster. We get all nervous. We might even get sweaty. We might want to run and hide so that nobody finds us until whatever the presentation was is over. So it's really about understanding how to make that space emotionally safe for ourselves and for others. And that's the type of risks that we are talking about. So nothing physically life-threatening. Our amygdala might, however, trick us into thinking that it is life-threatening because there is some emotional threat that might be involved in what it is that we're doing. So when we think about psychological safety, how does this work? Now, first off, we can only invite. We cannot force other people to feel psychologically safe. It is also dependent on that person as to how soon it will happen or if it will happen for them. So there's a couple of things that we can do to invite them into a psychologically safe space. It is still up to them to take the step to enter it. So that is, again, where that second bucket around inviting the risk as well as acknowledging the risks that has been taken comes in. So first off, of course, we need to demonstrate that we have an environment that is psychologically safe. I mean, if we don't have an environment that is psychologically safe, we can literally not invite anybody to come and join us in it. So how do we do this? And this is around the taking of risks. So these three general elements around the taking risk that we can take into consideration. So the first one is around our own limitations. So acknowledging our weaknesses, our limitations, the things that we might not do so well, or even have decided that we are not interested in doing well, right? Acknowledging those limitations. Now, how might this look like at work, for instance? I am a new manager in a specific space. I have a lot of expertise in one area, but my team has a wide variety of different things that they need to do. And there's a couple of other areas that maybe I don't know as well. My depth of expertise might not be as deep. I only sort of know a little something about it. So how do I show that I don't know? Literally saying that I genuinely don't know, or that I don't have the experience within this space or this field, is a way of showing, taking a risk. Saying I don't know is taking a risk. Because when we think about it, our ego really wants to know everything. And physically, it is not possible or likely that we do know everything. So acknowledging when we don't is inviting other people into a psychologically safe space. It is letting them know that I'm okay not having the answer. And it is okay to explore what might be the answer. So really acknowledging that verbally. So being able to tell them, I don't know, I don't have any experience within this space. This is the first time that I came across it. That is really a way of helping to show that I'm taking a risk by saying I don't know it, and inviting them to also do the same. Because, yes, people do follow examples. So if we can give that example, it helps them to also see that it's safe, it's okay, nobody died in the process, and they can do the same thing when maybe they don't know something. So that's the one. Then next is the owning our own fallibility. So yeah, it is the thing that I always think about is that saying around married couples where the husband knows that his wife is always right and he is always wrong. So being able to say, I'm wrong for whatever the thing was that the discussion was about. Now, whether that is in a personal relationship or whether this is at work, where maybe we had a discussion around something and I had a very strong opinion about something, you had a different opinion about it, and it comes out that you were right. I need to be able to not go and say, yeah, well, I really don't want to talk to you about this. I need to be able to come out and say, you know what? I was wrong and you were right. That helps to build psychological safety because I am showing that I'm okay with the fact that I didn't know, right? It might be something that I thought I knew that turned out I didn't. And that was fine. I am making it okay that I didn't know it and I was wrong, and that's fine. So it's not about the being wrong or being right. As Steve Jobs used to continuously reiterate, it is really about not me being right, but us getting it right. So really getting it right is the more important thing. And if that means I'm wrong, I'm fine with it. I'm okay with being wrong in that space. And that also helps others to help them see that we are taking that risk. It's not easy to say that we're wrong. It's not easy to let other people know I'm wrong and you are right. So it is helping them to see that we're taking that risk to let them know that this is what the case is for us in this situation. And again, it is regardless whether it is at home or at work, it applies anywhere where you deal with other people. Then our third one in this specific bucket is around being flexible and open. So what do I mean by being flexible and open? Well, this is the space where I invite ideas into the conversation and not only share my own. And this is really important. When I invite those ideas and I've changed my mind because of them, to admit that that's what happened and not just take the idea and run with it. So this is really about having that space where we share ideas, we come up with new viewpoints, we do things different, and not going only the piece before where I say, you were right and I was wrong. It is also around the, you know what? I had this idea about things. And after listening to you and hearing how you see things, it actually changed my mind. And this is now the way that I see it. So making it visible, it's almost like when we were in school and our mathematics teacher asked us to show our work in order for them to give us marks. It's a bit like that. We need to show our work. We need to show our thinking in the sense that this is the way that I thought before. This is your opinion or your input that you gave, within the situation. And this is how it changed my thinking. So being open to show that also invites people into this psychologically safe space. So that's the 3 ones when we think about taking risk, right? So first, being able to let people know about our limitations and the things that we're not good at, right? And we don't know. Then being able to say when we thought we knew something, but we were wrong, and I'm wrong, you're right, right? Being able to do that. And then also being able to let them know when our minds were changed due to the conversation we had and how they had an impact on it. So all of those things are ways that we take the risk personally and bring that into the space. We are demonstrating that the conversation, the environment that we are operating in is safe for us to then explore. It is okay to be wrong. I was wrong. I don't know everything. And you can influence the way that I see different things within our environment. So that's that bucket. Then when we look at our inviting or acknowledging risk piece, is really around making sure that we get the people that we work with to also bring that piece into the conversation. Now, as I said initially, for different people, it's going to take a different amount of time. So some people are quite willing to jump into it and they are very accepting and very open. So psychological safety for them are quite easy. And for other people, they do have a wall or layers of walls up that we need to get through. And this might be due to things that happened in the past. They don't necessarily trust the system, or they don't trust the environment, or whatever the case might be. Now, if that was something that happened to them a lot in the past, it means that our taking the risk, we will continuously have to show that to them in order for them to see, yes, it's safe. It is okay. I can also do this. It is continuously shown to me. And that is also a way of inviting them into this psychologically safe space. And of course, trying our very best. I know we are all human, so we falter and we sometimes don't do it. But as this becomes a habit, because this is a skill we can learn. This is not something that we can think, oh yeah, some people do it really well and some people don't. This is a skill, right? So we can learn this skill. And the more we do it, and the more ingrained it becomes in the way that we are with other people, the easier it would become for them, because we are constantly showing up this way, for them to then also open up into that psychologically safe space. So always keeping that in mind, because as human beings, we are looking for congruence. Now, congruence is really around how what I'm saying and what I'm doing talk to one another. So if they do talk to one another and I can see that there's a straight line between the two, I'm congruent, everybody's happy. If, however, I'm saying one thing and I'm doing something else, that's not congruent. And because it's not congruent, it breaks trust, and it also impacts our psychological safe spaces. So we want to make sure that we are congruent with what it is that we do. And again, that risk-taking, if we did something that we observe as not being congruent, being able to say, you know what, I messed up. I did this thing. I didn't intend to do it. I'm working on it, or whatever the case might have been for me to do that thing that I did, right? So being able to voice that also helps others to see that we are all human, yes, of course, and we are working towards being the best human being that we can possibly be. So bucket number 2 is around our invitation and acknowledging of risks. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, not only our opinion matters, everybody else in the room also has one. So bringing those in. Now, from my learnings from what Nelson Mandela did when he was a little boy and what he learned from his dad was that leaders speak last. It's also something that Simon Sinek mentions quite often. And thinking about leaders speaking last, really inviting all the voices into the conversation first, before we actually put our voice in the conversation. That gives a better idea of exactly what's happening. Now, the reason this is important, especially new leaders, well, all leaders, wherever you might be, whether it be at home or at work, this is important because if we speak first, we set the tone. We sort of already have a direction, and this might have been just us spitballing something. So literally we wanted to brainstorm something, but because we spoke it first, it literally gives the other people in the room an idea of where we are at, and it narrows that brainstorming down to a couple of ideas. We won't get a broad, wide variety of views in that case. So ensuring that we first hear all the different voices in the room and all the things that they are seeing. That's one of the reasons why a diverse, inclusive environment is so important. It is to bring all the background and all the reference points other people has into the room, and then see what the best solution is from that. Because we all have different backgrounds, we all have different reference points, we all have different baselines. And we don't know that until we have actually brought the voices into the room. So being able to do that, bringing the voices into the room, asking people for their opinion. Yes, even the people that have a tendency to be more silent around the table. Really giving them the opportunity to also bring their voice into the room. And this might take a variety of different forms. It might be that we share an agenda with a couple of questions beforehand so that they can actually think through what it is that we're going to be discussing before even coming into the room. It's very helpful for some people. It is also very helpful for some people to give them some time when we ask the question to actually reflect on it, write it down, and then bring their voice into the room. Because then we're not influenced by everybody else's thinking. So implementing a couple of techniques where we can really bring everybody's ideas and thinking into the room, and then as a leader say what we were thinking, and as a group or as the leader then decide what it is, the direction that we want to be taking. So that's the bringing the voices into the room. That's really inviting some of that risk, because, well, we don't know what another person thinks until they say it. So that's the one. And then also the way that we frame mistakes. Now, framing mistakes, an easy way of thinking about this is when we think about our strengths versus our weaknesses. Yes, it is really good to know what our strengths and what our weaknesses is. The thing is, the thing is that if we focus on the weakness, we will only marginally improve anything that we are doing. And the focus is on the weakness. So it's something that the person is already not great at. Whereas when we are focusing on the strength, it helps us to basically almost take the weakness, not necessarily out of the picture, but really play towards the thing that we're already good at. So, for instance, if you think about, I don't know, subjects where you got an A in school and subjects where you got a C in school. If we were to think about the subjects where we got a C in school, to try and think of how to improve the C, we will most probably start to say, but the teacher isn't great and I don't understand the material. And there's a lot of reasons and excuses that will come up versus going into the, okay, so how did I achieve the A? What worked really well for me to get that A? Now, when I focus on that, it's a whole different conversation. Firstly, I really want to talk about it because it's an A. Secondly, I can actually see what my process is like in order to get the A. What's elements that helped me to get the A? And then I can take those ones and utilize it to see how I can improve my C process to put more of those elements in and then get the A. So reframing our mistakes, really understanding not only what the learnings was from the mistake, but also how can I use the stuff that I'm good at to make this better, to make this something that's successful in the future. So really understanding that a lot more for ourselves is very beneficial when we want to invite psychological safety into a space. And then, of course, the acknowledgement piece. If somebody did this, acknowledge it. Acknowledge the risk that was taken. Acknowledge the voices that come into the room when they speak. And when we see that there is something that was actually a really tough topic for the person, and we know that they struggle to voice this, to bring this forward, acknowledge it. Because by acknowledging it, we are normalizing it not only for the group, but also for the person. And it makes it easier for them in future to take risk and to follow the example that we provide within that space. So that is the way that we build psychological safety within our environments, whether this be at work or at home. So thinking of those two buckets, being able to take the risk as well as inviting the risk and acknowledging when people take the risks will help them to feel psychologically safe. And of course, this is a continuous work in progress. It might be that a person is psychologically in a safe space in one environment or in one moment, and in a next not. And there's a variety of things that plays into it. So this is a continuous skill that we need to not only cultivate for ourselves, but remember the congruence, be able to continually develop and help our team with. So that is our lesson on psychological safety for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed it and took away a few tips and tricks in there. And of course, please do join us for our next Talking Heads next week, same time, same place. And if there's any of the other lessons that you would like to go and re-watch, as well as this one, you are more than welcome to do so on the website, which is our USA Global TV and Radio website. You can find all our content on that platform. Until next time, of course, also, if you would like to get hold of me or open a conversation, find out how you can up-level the way that you interact with others, do connect with me via my email, which is mariska@journey2discover.com, or alternatively via LinkedIn. And that is me. Until next time. Bye.